Hi, my name is Alexandra, and I'm the founder of TheWoof. TheWoof makes a smart collar, and we only have one goal: to revolutionize the pet care market. But before I tell you how we want to achieve it, and before I dive deep into what TheWoof is and how it actually works, let me tell you about the market itself. So pet market. Globally, pet market is currently worth about $260 billion, and by the year 2027 is expected to grow to $350 billion. The slice of the market that interests us the most is actually the pet wearables, which in 2019 was worth about $4.7 billion, and by the year 2027 is expected to grow to about 12. That means a 23% growth per year. So as you can see, globally, this is a very dynamically growing market, and also it's very resilient, which the 2008 Great Recession showed us, and also COVID, because the market kept growing through those times as well. And while you think globally and we aim globally, we work and test locally. So the Polish market is currently worth about 5 billion Polish zlotys, and there are 7 million dogs living in Poland. If we reach just 0.5% of this market, that's going to generate us a 9 million revenue. And that's possible only because of the trends that are the drivers of the market. The most important one is there's simply just a lot of dogs and more of them. Take a look around any big city and chances are you will see more dogs than babies. And that's fair because as we start families later now and live longer, we see companionship. And dogs are great in providing companionship, which is something that the pandemic showed us as well. And as we have more dogs and as we spend more time with them, we kind of shift our perspective on them from just being animals to being, well, parts of our family. And that's where pet parenting comes in. A study by Big Eye Agency found that about 95% of pet owners consider their pets part of the family. And as they are part of our family, we tend to humanize them, which is the next trend, which is pet humanization. We humanize them, we start treating them more like humans. As I said, our baby is part of our family. And that all creates just the role of pets in our life, which is now much greater than it has ever been before. So now that I briefed you on the market opportunities, let me tell you about TheWoof. So TheWoof is a smart collar, but what does it mean exactly, right? So TheWoof is technically two things. It's a GPS tracker and a health monitor built on top of that. So as far as the GPS tracking goes, TheWoof is built using LTE-M, which is a cutting-edge tech for wearables. And well, as much as trackers are well-loved and well-known, they have one major drawback, which is they're only ever usable when we lose our pet. And let's be realistic, as responsible dog owners, losing our pet is something we just don't want to do. So it's understandable that a lot of people simply do not want to spend money on a tracker and then pay a monthly subscription because they just don't find it worth it, right? Because they're just not going to use it every day. So we've decided to address that problem and also utilize the fact that your dog is supposed to wear it every day. And as we started working on that, as it often happens, we came across another problem, the lack of data, because there is no data about home dogs because there's just no way to track them. So that's something we also decided to tackle, but I'm going to talk about it in a second. So I've told you what TheWoof is. Let me tell you how it works. With TheWoof, we track vitals, things like eating, drinking, licking, scratching, barking, howling, heavy breathing, which is very important, and also sleeping, and map those to the individual dog profile. So every dog in our system has its own dog profile consisting of behaviors and patterns that are unique to that specific dog. And based on that, we can then make predictions and suggestions, and most importantly, detect changes, and then alert owners when something changes, because change in dogs' behavior usually means there is something going on. And it's either bad or good, but there is something going on. And currently, we are working on getting data, because the more data we get, we're going to be able to tell you more. So not only that something changed in your dog behavior, but we're going to be able to, with very high probability, tell you what changed and what is most likely the reason for that change. And that is because data drives change. We are very data oriented. And in TheWoof, we combine sort of dry data from our users with real life readings from TheWoof. So the dry data is basically anything that we can get from our users through our app. So we ask about things like breed, weight, medical conditions, behavioral issues, but also things like medications, supplements, the kind of food your dog eats, what kind of brand, because all of this matters and gives us a holistic look into your dog. And then we can look at two similar dogs. So let's say two Labradors that are 2 years old and both have hip dysplasia, right? And then we can see how the lifestyle of them changes and affects their conditions and affects their life. So we can see if certain supplements or certain kind of activity or certain food actually makes their life better. And sure, when we have only 2 dogs, that doesn't really give us anything, right? But imagine having hundreds of them. So while TheWoof is a very interesting B2C product, it also allows us to get very valuable data that we badly need as a society. because such data will be extremely helpful for veterinarians, researchers, and pet specialists. The commercial value also of this data is going to be enormous because it allows for tailored products, ads, and other services. So how we get this data? We currently get this data during our testing phase, because we're running a testing phase currently. So our users use our app to tag behaviors when a dog is basically exhibiting it. And then we map all of those tags into the readings from the accelerometer and from our microphone. And we make our system autonomous. And that's the key, because that has never been done before. So for commercialization, we won't have to use the tagging system. We'll be able to use transfer learning and similar algorithms to get the fitting models and transfer them to other pets. And that is huge. But we don't only focus on health. We also focus on activity because we have this individual profile now, and we can make suggestions and recommendations for everyday life. And activity is key for dogs, obviously. We also focus heavily on social aspects because we want to promote healthy and responsible dog ownership. We introduced a lot of functionalities that help owners achieve that, from rankings and achievements. Everything is centered about making daily walks fun and enjoyable while being beneficial to the dog. TheWoof fits dogs for all sizes, really. We have dogs as small as 1.5 kilograms chihuahuas wearing them, all the way to, 45 plus kilogram dogs. What makes us stand out from our competition is that we have a holistic approach. We offer everything a device like this can offer, and then more. We are the only product that caters to a broad audience and is supported by veterinarians and other pet professionals. And that is because we have a multidisciplinary team that built that product. We don't only have great scientists and great business people. We have people that actually work with dogs every day. So they help us with a system that works, gathers the data, and actually can help make a change. In the past 16 months, we've created multiple prototypes and settled on hardware that actually works and delivers what we need. We have a mobile app for iOS and Android, backend and machine learning system. We support over 400 breeds, and we're testing with a group of people now. What we need currently is $1 million to cover operational costs, certification, and production. And the next year, we're aiming to get $1.5 million to grow our team, start sales, and run marketing campaigns to penetrate the European markets. Thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
First question would be, what's the current state of the product? Is it ready, or we plan features when this product will be able to just go on market and sell?
We're currently running extensive tests, and the tests have, they give a lot of input. So first of all, we are gathering data, and that is our main goal, because we can train the system. But we also, if needed, are improving our hardware, most important firmware, and also our mobile app. So we are currently, as I mentioned, running tests. So we are not ready to start selling just yet, but we are ready to test with people. So we are currently running a smaller group of beta tests, but in the next months, 1 or 2, we are planning to start a group of 400 testers to test our system much greater, and also be able to get much more data. And then after those tests, we will be able to start sales. At least, that's the roadmap.
Mm-hmm. And when it's because you also mentioned about the competition. You mentioned that you provide everything what competition does, and also add something on top of that. So I'm just curious, which of those competitors is most dangerous for you, and or how do you perceive which of those competitions might develop in the way that you are developing?
Well, the competition is actually quite interesting, because the most prominent thing in the market currently is actually just GPS trackers, which I mentioned are great, sure, but they're only ever usable, when you lose your dog. And that is 90% of our competition currently. Some of them offer activity tracking, but it's a very kind of vague activity tracking, because it follows steps and kilometers, which are not applicable to pets because of the size difference, because of difference in breeds and all of that. So that is kind of 90% of the competition. And then there is 2 new players currently. They are actually quite interesting. One of them is Inboxia, which is a very interesting collar developed also with a medical technology, but it's a very specific collar targeted at very specific users, mostly with dogs that have heart issues, because it's, I don't know how far the tech goes, but it claims to be able to actually measure heart rate and heart-related things, which TheWoof can do only kind of throughout the heavy breathing and other vitals that we measure, and then through our system. But that particular collar claims to be able to do it, out of the box. But again, that's a very specific slice of the market. because it's not really needed for an everyday user, and it's a very big, bulky collar, while the TheWoof can be attached to anything, to any collar, to any harness, and it's also smaller and fits much smaller as well. And there is My Pet Go, which is a tracker that's Asian-made tracker, but they are built without any sort of like medical team on their part, and they kind of claim to do things that are a little bit hard to do with a collar. So we are monitoring how they're going to grow, because they just started selling. But for now, I would say these two are our most interesting competition. And well, if any of the competitors that currently only focus on GPS tracking are going to start developing systems to track health, that is going to be also something that we'll monitor. But it's very important to mention that, and I briefly mentioned that in the presentation, there is no data. So you have to train your own system. You have to create your own data sets. And that's something we've done. And that's something we've been working on for the past year very heavily. And that is something that is crucial in order to have a system that actually works and delivers.
And you also mentioned that people don't want to pay subscription for just trackers because they don't provide them enough value to pay every month. So I'm just curious, what's your current marketing strategy, and also basically maybe go-to-market strategy? Are you focusing on B2C sales, maybe B2B2C, or maybe different kind of a business model?
Okay, so what I mentioned about people not wanting necessarily to pay for GPS trackers, it's something that came directly from our audience, because from day one, we've been in contact with people that are our potential customers. So we've talked to them a lot. So we know what matters to them, and we know also how excited they are about our products. Our strategy is for starters going to be B2C, because this is the easiest for us to implement, and also to utilize our talents and then scale, hopefully, and market our product. Because we want to use social media channels to reach our target audience, because our target audience currently is going to be millennials and Gen Z, because they are the majority of users on social media, and also majority of people that follow our client idea, which is the pet parent. So that's who we want to target. And then hopefully, as we get a little bit of momentum and a little bit of recognition, we will start other selling channels. Because one thing that is a big issue with any sort of tracker and device like this is that people simply don't know it exists. And they kind of don't know that they need it. And they don't know it's even possible to do that. So when people learn about it, they're like, oh my God, that's such a great idea. We never thought about it. Like, yeah, because you never know it's possible. And now these days, because of technology and advances, it actually is possible. So that's our strategy for the beginning.
Yeah, just a few days ago, I read an article about remote pet care, because as probably everybody knows, it became possible to help people through through the telephone. And so I'm just curious whether it's possible to integrate your service with remote pet care.
Well, we generally do have a lot of plans for how the system can grow, because coming back to the data, with all the data that we'll have, and with all the system that we created, we'll have a very easy capability of creating, for example, veterinarian telemedicine, which is currently completely not a thing, and it's not regulated at all. But it's something that can be done. So, with having so much information about your dog in one place, and it's all structured, and it's all structured in a way that veterinarians recommend, that when you have a problem with your dog, or when the collar detects a problem, you can just call a vet and be like, hey, open this website, right? Or log into the system. And then the vet instantly sees everything that's been going on with the dog, and can actually, get the answers to all the questions. Because you go to a vet, and the first things they're going to ask you is what changed with your dog's behavior. Is it drinking less? Is it eating more? Is it moving less? Is it scratching, licking? All of those questions that the TheWoof answers for you, and answers them precisely, which is something owners usually can't do. I, for example, cannot do that because I have 5 dogs. I don't know how much they drink because I can't keep track. But even if you have 1 dog, we also have a life. And as much as we love our pets, we're not capable to just keep an eye on them all the time, right? So the TheWoof does that for you, and then allows you to just take care of your pet better, which is why we say our goal is to just revolutionize the pet care market.
So I now understand your motivation. Taking care of 5 dogs can be challenging. So.
Yeah, I do love dogs.
Yeah, it's time to create a device which will help me to do it. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
The presentation.